Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello, hey everybody.
How's it going?
It's okay.
I, I was noticing an epic battle with your hair.
Mhm. Y'all, if you've been listening for a little while, you know I'm in this place of having this new bang situation, and every time I have to look at it in the mirror, I'm like, oh God, it's all fucked up. And then not in the mirror, but in the camera. But then it's
Hmm.
reversed, so everything I do is the wrong hand, and it's just a thing.
You just got to stop. You
I
have to
like them
stop.
when I'm not looking in a camera, and I just have to stop fucking with them. Well, but I have had all kinds of trouble. Just getting here today has
Uh-huh.
been. You ever have one of those days where everything takes longer than expected?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing works out. I was trying to make tea. I spilled the honey everywhere. I made a big mess. Honey is just not something that is a quick cleanup.
Yeah,
Stuff like
I
that.
hear
It's
you.
just been that kind of a situation getting ready to do these
I,
episodes today.
me too, actually. This is really dumb, but opening the curtain in my office is kind of a production because of where the
Mm.
window is. And I have a lot of plants in my office. So if I'm not recording, the windows need to be open or the
Hmm.
curtain. And so I had my curtains open, getting ready to record, went to close them, knocked a box of labels off of one desk,
Oh
fixed
no.
that, turned around, came over to the other side to close the drape on the other side, and knocked a candle on the floor. So yes, I'm with you. I might
I
have too
mean,
much stuff in here. I
what
might.
the hell, right? It's possible. Yeah, this office is the same.
Yeah.
I hear
But
that.
so I'm here with you, though I did not spill honey, so I'm probably batting a little bit better than you are.
Yeah.
But you've
What a
been a
day.
creating fool this weekend, and you have some show and tell.
I do. I'm getting ready to launch my Etsy shop, which is mostly going to be jewelry, but a few other things as well. And I'm having a lot of fun with UV resin. And
Hmm.
look at this cute little guy I made.
He's so
It's sort
handsome.
of a cat, fox, dragon sort of situation. I don't really know how to describe him. It's
A dragon,
some kind of mythical, awesome creature.
a
But
drafoxen.
yeah, I had so much fun like painting the mold and stuff to get that
Hmm.
effect. It was really fun. And
Awesome.
then I'm learning how to make, thanks to Katie's help, the liquid core, like dice and other things of
Hmm.
resin, right? So I made this little guy. He's a pig. And if you can see, you can't see super well, but he has a liquid core. And when you shake him, he has this really awesome shimmery liquid in the middle that moves.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm
And I'm
playing with
impressed because
stuff.
that stuff is a bitch to work with.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Let's just say I made 8. I like 2.
Hmm.
4 are unsellable.
Hmm.
2 are great. 2 are not that great.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know, I'm learning. I'm
I
learning.
hear you. Yeah. Well, I'm impressed you got some to work out. This
Right?
came from I wanted to make a couple of dice sets for my son for Christmas. He does D&D,
Oh.
and so I bought a mold and I was looking at, different creators and discovered that I made one set that were just stupid looking and I went, well, that's not going to work. So then I went, to do research and found people doing these liquid core ones that were so freaking cool. So then I had to rush the materials to me and I finished these the night before Christmas Eve and they actually did turn out really cool. Some regrets, but mostly they turned out good. So anyway, I'm thrilled that you're doing it and making it work.
It's working. I'm really liking it. But yeah, it is hard as hell.
Oh, the outcome's
I'm sure
amazing.
I'll I'm sure I will get better at it as we go. But yeah, the outcome is super cool. And I have a bunch of ideas of different things to do that have a moving core in them of like pieces of jewelry and stuff. Because
Yeah.
if you're a fidgeter like me
Mhm.
who just needs something to fuck with all the time, because that is
Mhm.
definitely me, this is a great little addition to my fidget arsenal.
Definitely. Yeah, you can play with
Yeah.
them forever. Yeah.
Yeah, you can, and they're just really cool. It's so hard to show them on this camera, but soon they'll be on
Yeah.
the store and you'll be able to see like actual videos of them that
Yeah.
they move. I haven't figured out how I'm going to make that happen, but we'll see.
You'll figure it out. It'll be
I
great.
will.
Awesome. Well, this is our Monday episode. You're going to see us looking exactly the same in the next episode because we're kicking out two because I've got to take a kid back to college. So we're getting ahead of the game this week instead of behind, which I know doesn't match our MO, but here we are. So,
It's January. Are really my only like resolutions, because I hate them and I don't do them, is simply to just get back on being more consistent with True Crime Squad and getting
mhm,
4 episodes out a week, and
mhm,
being consistent and getting things out on time, that kind
mhm.
of just basic
Yeah.
stuff. Because
New year, new
November
us.
and December, we went to shit. You probably
I really
noticed.
did.
But you know what we do every year at the holidays? It's just like it's too much.
It just is what it is. Yeah.
But
But
we're
here we
back on the
are.
horse for at least the first half of the year, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, okay, until Chad Daybell's trial, and then shit will
Oh
just
my
hit the
gosh.
fan. But here we are. We're
Then we
trying.
will just do our very best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but I did want to point out I am wearing my quite frankly judge it's wearing no, using my quite frankly judge it's voluminous merch mug, which
I
is
like it very
available
much.
in our merch store. Simply go to truecrimesquad.com. You can find it. It is an homage not only to the voluminous virus that is
Mhm.
the Daybell Vallow trials, it is
Mhm.
also an homage to John
Mis
Pryor, Chad Daybell's
Mhm.
defense attorney. These are his clutching pearls that we know he wishes he could be wearing, and I frequently do wear during hearings
Mhm.
to clutch upon his behalf because it's clear he wants to. And he also says, quite frankly, Judge, along with it's voluminous, it's not fair, they did this to me, blah 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 blah
Mhm.
blah. So this is our John
That's
Pryor mug.
that's the whole case. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and in fact, this is one of our True Crime Squad tumblers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at us repping.
So we do have the merch.
We has the merch. Well, I'm going to get us going. I'm going to kick the mic over to you for our first segment, which is a WTF.
It sure is. Squad, I bring to you a cautionary tale about Hot Pockets.
Oh dear.
You ever questioned whether it would be wise to eat the last Hot Pocket in the freezer if you, in fact, share said Hot Pockets with a roommate, a family member, anyone like that? If you
No.
have, you know, okay, well, if you have, this story is for you. Clifton Williams has been arrested. This was about 6 months ago, but I think this is so funny. I had to share it with you today. He was arrested for assault in the second degree after he shot his roommate for eating the last Hot Pocket.
What?
I don't know. You be the judge. Some people feel very strongly about their said Hot Pockets. I know.
I thought these things only happened at the Fremont County Jail.
Right. Right. So, William's citation says that he got mad at his roommate for eating the last Hot Pocket and began throwing tiles, of all things.
Oh.
Um, so the roommate said he, quote, attempted to fight back by trying to beat his ass, according to the citation. Williams then went inside, grabbed a gun, and shot the roommate, you know where, in the butt, while the victim was trying to leave. Because only in this story would someone get shot in the butt, right? So,
What I want to know is
fortunately,
who are these people's neighbors? Because we're going to need to hear some more.
my God, you can only imagine what else has gone on there. Fortunately, the roommate did live.
Yeah.
Williams is prohibited from contacting him. He was taken to a hospital to be treated for non life threatening injuries, and Williams' bond was set at $7,500. So I say, think twice before consuming that last Hot Pocket. You never know what deranged lunatic you might be living with.
I guess so.
And
In
with
my house, we'd just go to the store and buy more Hot Pockets, but, I
yeah,
guess that's not an option?
I mean, hot pockets, right? And with that,
I guess
I
so.
will kick the mic back to you for our main case.
Okay. Friends, you might recall, a few months ago, we did a story about a man named Dexter Wade.
Mhm.
Dexter Wade, this is Dexter. Dexter Wade was struck by a police, an off-duty police cruiser in Jackson, Mississippi, back in, I believe, January or February of last year of 2023, and was missing all of this time. And his family was frantic and did not know where Dexter was. And then, sometime around August, Dexter's mother learned that he had been buried, that he had been dead since basically since he went missing.
Wow.
But no one had told her, and that he was now buried in an unmarked grave behind the penal colony of the jail, and no one ever let them know. And then it took her getting very rowdy, getting an attorney, and raising hell to even find out where he was,
Yeah.
what grave he was in. And she obtained the representation of Ben Crump. Ben Crump is an attorney who represents a lot of civil rights cases. And Ben got involved with her case, and that's when the balls kind of started to roll, and the press started looking at what is going on in Jackson, Mississippi. What's going on with this jail situation with them just burying all of these bodies? Well, that was an outrage. It was an outrage. And at the time, they said, oh, yeah, yeah, we definitely did try to contact you. And we didn't even know who this person was. And his wallet was in his front pocket with all of his ID.
And we tried to contact you. Also, we didn't know who this person was. Well, those things can't
Mhm.
both be true at the same time.
There were a lot of excuses. There was a lot of punting back and forth between the coroner's office and the sheriff's office, or the police station, that, well, they should have told you. Well, they should have told you. Well, we tried to contact you. Well, it's just a big bunch of bullshit that boils down to we didn't. We didn't.
It's just disgusting, man.
And so
Disgusting.
since then, there have been FOIA requests for the roster of this cemetery. And the press has started doing some work and looking into some of these cases. And what's come from it is that more families are finding out that their missing loved ones are buried in this cemetery and they didn't know.
My God.
I'm going to tell you a couple more stories here. Uh, Dexter was exhumed and reburied and had a proper funeral finally, though it cost the family a fair amount. You have to then pay, after all this bullshit, then you have to pay the coroner's office $250 to release the body that's already in the ground. And
Right.
then you have to pay another fee to have the body exhumed. And then, of course, your funeral home will take it from there. But it's insane. Now, why do we have these kinds of graveyards, cemeteries? Well, typically they were for indigent people who either didn't have any family, bodies that were truly unclaimed over a long period of time, or families who simply couldn't afford to claim the body, because that happens. But unfortunately, this cemetery has been misused and become a catch all for here's throwaway people that we don't give a shit about, so we're just going to put them in these unmarked graves.
That's so horrific. And like, we're not going to put any effort into finding their families or
No,
notifying anyone of their deaths.
no,
I mean,
yeah,
how jaded do you have to be in your job
hmm,
to not give a shit
entirely.
about notifying family if someone dies?
Yep, absolutely. So I want to tell you now about Mario. This is Mario.
How many of these bodies are people of color?
Good question. I'm telling 3 stories today. 2 of them are persons of color, one of them is not.
Okay.
But that is a big question that Ben Crump and company are asking, is how many of
Right.
these people are people of color who the sheriff's office just didn't give a flying fuck about and just threw them in these graves?
Man,
It seems like quite a bit.
that is so
So,
sick.
a woman named Marquita Moore, she on October 10th, an aunt of hers reached out and sent her an article uh, that had a list of 24 homicide victims from Jackson, Mississippi that year. And she was dumbfounded to find her brother on that list
Oh
and
my God.
that he had was murdered on February 2nd. It's now
Holy
October.
shit.
Now, Mario had some mental health issues and some drug problems and came and went in his family's life. And so and he could be kinda dicey. In fact, she was the last person that saw him, and she ran into him on the street, gave him some cash clear back in, like, January or early February, and nobody had seen him since, but that wasn't completely unheard of. They had
Right.
not reported him as a missing person because he did come and go.
Mhm.
Was that was his MO, and sometimes he would get skittish if people leaned on him too hard, and then he wouldn't show up for a while, and so they were all just, support him from afar and help him if he needed it, but, kinda just let him do his thing because that's over the years he was 40 years old, over the years, that's what they had learned that they kinda had to do for Mario, but
Mhm.
at any rate, so the family got together and told mom and started trying to figure out what happened. Well, as it happened, Mario's body was found wrapped in a tarp and bludgeoned to death on
Mm.
February 2nd.
Wow.
And he was subsequently in the morgue for a few months and then was ordered to be buried in that grave, in that
And they
cemetery.
knew who he was,
They did know who he
so
was.
they made no effort to find his family? Like,
Mm-mm.
the hell?
So he was taken to the morgue on the 2nd, and in his pockets were envelopes addressed to Mario Moore. What was the address? Well, his mother's address, because that's
Oh.
where he got his mail. It's also where child support sent letters to him, through the state
Mhm.
and any other mail that he received. He also had a debit card in his pocket with his name on it. And and yet he was taken to the morgue. His death was determined a homicide by blunt force trauma. On February 8th, the fingerprints maintained, that he was indeed Mario Moore, and the coroner says she called his brother, a man they had in the system as his brother named Gavin Moore, but it was an unworking number. Here's the problem with that. He doesn't have a brother named Gavin Moore.
Good God.
So, who knows where that information came from?
Mhm.
Uh, it's not as though his mother was hiding out. She's lived in her house for 20 years, and it's only 2 miles from where his body was found.
My God.
The, uh, sheriff's office says they came and left a business card in the door at mom's house, but that she never called them. She says she did not ever receive a business card, and she has no idea what they're talking about.
And even if she had, she would not necessarily have known what the hell they were calling about, they were coming by about. Like,
Right,
that's not
exactly.
enough. That
Yeah.
is not enough.
So on March 31st, the coroner's office asked the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for permission to bury his body in a Paupers field, which is the county's penal farm. And on April 3rd, they approved that. They approved that along with 9 similar requests that day for 9 other bodies, including Dexter Wade's, by a unanimous vote that lasted 12 seconds, meaning they didn't
12
ask a single
seconds?
damn question about why
Oh
all of these
my
people
God.
were unclaimed and needed to be buried. They clearly did not ask if their next of kin had been notified or what steps had been taken. They just went, yeah, 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 get rid of them. Let's go.
My God.
It was just
These are
that
human
simple,
beings. These are
not treated like
people.
it.
Ugh,
Yep,
God.
yep, yep. So NBC News requested, they've done a really great investigation into this, and I'm going to include some articles from them in my case notes. But they had requested some records from Hinds County documenting any efforts to notify Mario's next of kin, and they can't come up with anything that indicates they did anything more than that.
My God.
So
Didn't
then,
give a
of
flying
course,
fuck about this human being who was
no.
murdered. I'm gonna assume also unsolved murder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once they made contact with the county, who, by the way, still can't tell them what grave he's in, they still don't know.
Oh my God.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yep. They still don't know. But after they, made contact with the police department and a homicide detective came by, told them that he did have ID on him when he was found, and that he said he went to two homes believed to be his address, but nobody was home. There's no evidence of that. And,
And if no one's home, you come back, dumbass.
hmm yeah, right? Come on,
Like
man.
that's not an excuse.
This is
That's
a
not an
death,
excuse.
for Christ's sake. Yeah.
Right.
So at any rate, yeah, at the same time that the homicide detective came by and said, "Yeah, yeah, we knocked on some doors, nobody was home. So what do you want us to do?" He also said that it's a cold case; they don't have any leads. I'm gonna
Well,
go
you would
out on a
actually
limb
have to
here and
try at
assume,
all.
yeah, basically they've just got people here that they deem to be throwaway people that have records, that have a drug problem, that maybe were unhoused or they thought were, and they just don't care about them. They
God
just don't.
Almighty.
His mother told NBC News, if he had committed a crime, they sure as hell would have found him. Yeah,
Right?
and figured out where he lived. But
It's true.
no. So they looked into exhuming him and having a, a new burial somewhere else. If they could let them know where he is, though, as at the time of the interviews that I read, they had not been able to determine that.
My
This is
God.
what the field looks like. There's
Oh
just
my
stakes with
God.
numbers on them.
But the numbers aren't even accurate, apparently.
No, there's 672 names on their roster. 250ish of them are in the last few years, and
Oh
that's when
my
they really
God.
moved to unnamed graves
Ugh,
and some unmarked graves. So the coroner, not the coroner, but the funeral home let them know they could exhume him and they would if they wanted, but to know that there wouldn't be anything left other than bones at this point, which leads me to believe they're not even putting these people in
not even
coffins
in caskets?
or
Oh my God.
like going through proper burial protocols. I don't know that for sure. I really was unable to completely verify that, but what they
I'm
said about that makes me think
surprised they're
that's
not
true.
cremated.
Yeah, no, they're not.
But I guess this is just the absolute cheapest, we don't give a shit way.
Well, and that inmates dig these holes as well.
Oh my God.
So they're using free labor, and it sounds like just throwing bodies in the ground. And if they're taking more steps than that, anyone feel free to correct me, but that's the best I could find on that.
That is I wish I could say unbelievable, but it isn't.
No,
Because that's
it's
how
not.
jaded people become
Hmm.
and how little value a human life really has.
Yep. So his family chose to not exhume him at that point. His mom is really, really struggling. She's having a hard time
Oh,
coming to terms with this at all. They did have a memorial, but it was pretty hollow. And here they sit. So,
well, it's difficult to trust any of this. How do they know any of this is true when they don't have his body? You know? Like that's
great
like the
question.
final confirmation that yes, your loved one has
Hmm.
passed. And how the hell would they ever trust that the police and the coroner's office are being honest with them at this point? Because they're a
Mhm.
bunch of fucking liars that don't give a shit.
Yeah, you
No,
can't. You can't. There's no peace in this, just none.
no, no.
So I'm gonna change gears and tell you about one other. This is oh, no, that's not.
I was gonna say that's not no.
That's not. This is Jeremy. Or Jonathan, sorry, jeez. Wrong on every account. This is Jonathan. Jonathan was a registered missing person
Oh my god!
and had been since 2022.
Holy
So
shit!
this is Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan left home on in May 2022 or May 2022. Authorities found him dead in a hotel a few days later. He was from a neighboring county, but he died in Jackson.
Okay.
He had gone out with some friends. He was an active meth addict at the time. Jonathan struggled with meth and would have bouts of being clean and living with his mom and his daughter and doing awesome, and then bouts of not being clean and kind of
Mhm.
disappearing for a little while and then coming back. And pretty typical of an addict's life and the life of families of addicts, wondering where they are and if they're okay. And yet
Mhm.
he was never gone that long, and he had promised to be home for Sunday dinner for his favorite meal, which was a chicken and potatoes dish that he loved, and mom promised she'd make it. And that evening came and went, and he didn't come home, and
Mhm.
it didn't make sense. So she started contacting some of his friends. She said some of his good friends who weren't users, that had not, none of them had seen him. So then started reaching out to some of the not good friends, and still no answers. Which again, he did take off every once in a while, but just not this long. So they got in touch with the Rankin County Sheriff's Office and they took a missing persons report. They announced a search for Jonathan on Facebook. They shared the case with local media. They posted his information to a national law enforcement database, and a group of volunteers combed all the nearby waterways to see if there's any chance he was there.
Wow.
So, for more than a year, his mother contacted the sheriff's office every few weeks for news, and every time they told her they didn't have a thing. And it was absolute misery. It was a nightmare.
Mm.
Uh, but every time she talked to the investigators, the police, they told her they had no idea. Well, NBC News, because they cared, they solved the mystery in just a few minutes' time. See, they had a list of all of the people buried in the Hinds County Paupers field,
Mhm.
and they cross referenced that list with missing people in Mississippi. And in about 10 seconds, they found Jonathan's name on both.
My god.
So they went to Gretchen, Jonathan's mother's home in Mississippi on December 4th, and shared with her what they had learned. And she was in absolute shock. She had no idea. So he's been missing since May 23rd, 2022. He was found deceased on May 26th, 2022.
Wow.
He was buried in grave 645. That's what he was boiled down to. It is a neighboring county. A neighboring
They
county.
couldn't even have bothered to check their own missing persons list, their
Any
own state list.
minuscule amount of police work would have solved this, of detective work, of Googling.
A
This
single
could have
Google
been
search.
solved in a minute. But of course, his mother trusted the system and had no idea that another county would just bury his body without any kind of explanation.
Oh, I didn't think anybody thought that would happen. Holy shit.
I think that the assumption is that this was an overdose, but there doesn't seem to be a complete answer about how or why he died.
Yeah, well,
Partly because,
he was an addict, so they didn't care.
yep, and because ain't nobody wants to talk about this.
No.
But you guys, listen, it's okay. It's fine. You know why? Because the Jackson police has now adopted a written protocol for how to handle death notifications. They are all over this.
Oh yeah,
From
I'm
now
sure they are.
on,
Now that their name is being screamed from the rooftops, fucking
yeah,
assholes.
from now on, if somebody dies, they're going to put in a little more effort. Again, with this case, they punted back and forth between the coroner's office and the sheriff's office. Sheriff's office said we didn't even know who he was. We'd never even heard his name. The coroner's office never let us know what their findings were. The coroner's office said, "Oh, yeah, we did. We sent you an email within a few days of receiving his body. You've known all along." They're like, "Oh, yeah, no, we didn't know. Sorry. We just
God,
didn't even know."
that finger pointing bullshit. That
Mhm.
ended in elementary school, okay?
Yeah.
We are adults now. And these
Yeah.
are real human beings with real lives and real families.
Yeah.
This is disgusting. And everybody who signed off on it, fuck you for
Mhm.
giving no care whatsoever
Yeah.
for actual living people.
Absolutely. So Gretchen is breathing fire, as you can imagine. She wants someone fired. She wants someone to be accountable. She
Yeah,
wants to know that this isn't going to happen to other mothers and other families. Uh, but it just seems like,
legit, Gretchen.
yeah, we'll see. We will see. But that's what's going on in Jackson.
Well, they need to sue.
Obviously,
They
there
need to
needs
sue
to be
that
some
county.
changes. Yeah.
Sue the
Oh,
shit
yeah.
out of the county. That's the only thing that does any good anymore.
Well, the mothers of Mario and Jonathan and Dexter are teaming up, and I believe they are
Good.
suing the county and pulling together some, media resources. Again, huge props to NBC News because they have done a really good job with this.
Huge props.
Frankly,
Because
if it
how many
wasn't for
more of these
them,
stories are out there? My
well, we'll
God.
find out. We'll find out because they're still all over it, and obviously they care a whole lot more than the sheriff's office does. So I've never heard of anything like this.
The lack
And
of heart in policing in this country is so obvious and gross. Oh,
yeah, the lack of empathy, the lack of caring at all for these human beings and their families is just so horrifying and sad. So, we will keep an eye on this because there will likely be more stories forthcoming.
yeah.
I hope that word is getting out a little bit more in Mississippi in general for people that if you have a missing person, you better go check this list
Yeah, no
and see
kidding.
if there's any chance. But at the same time, how complete is the list?
Right. How complete is the
Supposedly, yeah, it's hard to say. There's 672 names on it, and the log goes back to 2008. It's
There are
14.
600 people from 2008 forward?
Yeah.
Oh my God. In one county?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And is anybody else doing this? How many other counties in this
Right.
country are doing this shit?
How many missing people aren't missing at all?
Right. And what if other law enforcement agencies are actively looking for someone who
Mhm.
turns out to be buried in this Paupers field? Are you fucking kidding me?
There's so many
Oh,
things wrong with this that you just the list is so long.
it
So the
is.
cemetery log is 14 pages long. It's handwritten. It has the person's age, race, and gender, as well as their birth and death dates and where they were found when they before they were or where they were before they were buried.
So they right there had enough information to find their
Hmm.
families. Right there is enough
Exactly. Yep.
to find their families.
Yep. It's mind-boggling. It is all just
These
mind-boggling.
aren't unidentified Jane and John Does.
No,
Jesus Christ.
they're identified and just a complete. Now, bear in mind that some of those do have families that were notified. Hopefully, some of them supposedly are people whose
Hopefully.
families just couldn't afford to claim their bodies. And some of them are probably truly just unidentified. We don't know. But the fact that this is happening, and you're right, how many other jails are doing something like this? I mean, how many other counties have? In my town, if somebody is an indigent, the county pays for them to be cremated. But I don't know what
Right.
happens with the ashes. I've never heard. But I know that
Why?
that's
What
what they
happens
do.
with the ashes? Are the ashes stored somewhere in case they ever find their family? I just cannot fathom not doing absolutely everything you could to find
Mhm.
someone who needs to be notified that this person is gone.
Right. I know that when my daughter worked at a nursing home here in our county, they occasionally would have a resident pass that had absolutely no family at all, which is very sad. And
Mm.
in those cases, the county paid for cremation. And I don't know what happened
Yeah,
with the
cremation,
ashes.
and then what?
Yeah,
Where do the ashes go?
no
It's
idea.
probably worth finding out.
Hmm. It's upsetting. I think it's really upsetting and
It
disturbing.
is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disturbing. The lack of care for human life.
Hmm.
And these are the people doing the policing in that community. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit about their own citizens.
No, not
It's
even a
pretty
little
clear.
bit. Yep. So we'll keep a close eye on this one and let you know if there's any more information that comes out. But until then, our families go all the way out to the families of Dexter and of Mario and of Jonathan. My God.
Absolutely.
So very sorry
It's
for your
just
losses.
heartbreaking.
Yep. So with that, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for some weird crime time.
This is weird. This is creepy. This is WTF. And it's just breaking, so there's a lot we don't know. But let me introduce you to this guy. This guy's name is Lee Carter. He's known online, I guess, as a rapper named Viper.
Of course.
Look at that hair. I don't know, man. Maybe your Viper days are past. You've not got much hair left. Anyway, uh, a woman in Harris County, Texas, is pressing charges against Viper, Lee Carter, after she says she was kidnapped and kept in a garage for at least 4 years by Lee Carter.
Oh,
Yeah. So
yikes.
52. The aggravated kidnapping documents state that he held a woman against her will at a home near South Union at 5251 Perry Street. He was arrested on Thursday this past week at a motel.
Wow.
So the story goes that Carter stopped to give a pregnant woman who he saw panhandling $1. And then he went back and offered to help her. She was clearly a very vulnerable human being.
Oh, yeah.
He took her back to his house and locked her in his garage and would not let her leave.
Oh, my
She's been
gosh.
held there for nearly 5 years. We do not know the outcome of her pregnancy at this point.
Oh, boy. Mm.
According to the victim, he raped her over and over. He made her take narcotics and kept her from leaving.
Oh, boy.
Neighbors have been asked by Fox 26, like, what it's been like to live next door to this house. One neighbor said everything always happened at 3 a.m. Moving around, back up to the house, moving people around to the front, to the garage was very crazy. So they had questions about what the hell was going on over there. Um, in one instance, court documents stated that the woman texted police through the Text Now app, who took her to a hospital and then released her back to Carter. Police are calling
What?
this woman extremely vulnerable,
Oh, my God.
and and she's extremely malnourished. She weighs about 70 pounds at this point.
Oh,
Carter would force her to take drugs and other illegal narcotics, causing her to be physically able to escape, also causing her to be dependent in a way that she
sure.
couldn't, you know, get away from.
Wow.
She did escape another time by breaking a window in the garage and crawling out. She went to a hospital where Carter picked her up to take her back home and lock her back in the garage. And she was
Oh,
just in no fit state to defend herself or to even explain really what was happening to her because she was drugged all the time.
mhm,
We don't actually know who the woman is. Good. We should never know. She's a
mhm.
victim. She should never have to reveal her identity.
No.
Um, The police have also rescued a dog from the house because he has apparently stopped staying at the house because there's been too much attention brought to the house.
Mhm.
Um, Apparently, he has actual music videos on YouTube and is known in the Houston area as a rap artist called Viper.
Hell?
Um,
Oh,
so there's a lot we do not know. That's basically all we know is that he has been arrested and this just barely happened, and so we're going to definitely be keeping a close eye on this case, but it is absolutely terrifying
yeah, it
what
is.
he's
That's
put this
horrific.
woman through. The police officers who have talked with her say that they have a lot of empathy for her. She's very clearly a very vulnerable person and was completely taken advantage of in this situation and was
Mm,
really given no other opportunity. She was
sure.
terrified to try to get away because she had tried to get away a few times and he just always got her back.
And what
And
happened with her pregnancy? That's
what
terrifying.
happened with her pregnancy? Where's that child? Also, she clearly had nowhere else to go or no one else to go to. It's just
Right.
really, really
Well,
sad and scary.
was she listed as a missing person anywhere, I wonder?
It does not say. The information I have does not say if she was even known as a missing person.
Mm, well,
So we're
definitely.
gonna eye on this.
Yeah.
Also, men who do this often don't just do it once. So, are there
Right.
exceptions? So there's a lot that has to happen in this situation now
Mhm.
with him, and at least she is no longer she is away
Mhm.
and is in a safe place wherever she is. She's been able to talk with the police and file this information, and her
Mhm.
location and identity are being protected. Thank God, as they should be.
Good.
I don't ever want to say her name on this show because
No.
we shouldn't.
No.
But we
Unless
will
there's
be
a
keeping
GoFundMe
close.
that we can contribute to, because how
Right,
in the world is she gonna get on her feet in any way? She's gonna need some
right.
serious help and support.
She sure is. So we will keep
Yeah.
a close eye on this case, and we will update
Mhm.
you on what happens with Lee Carter, aka Viper.
Mhm. Burn in hell, Viper. Mhm.
Yep, absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, that's Monday. So we'll be back Tuesday with a brand new episode. We'll be back Wednesday night for case updates, and we'll be back Thursday with a brand new episode. Changing our format just a little bit this year, but we think it's going to work for us and for you guys
Hmm.
too. So
Yeah.
uh, spread us out a little more throughout the week, and that'll be a good thing. So thanks, you guys, so much for being here. Thanks for watching. As always, if you see something, say something. We'll
Yes.
be back. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.